So you know the ones where you're listening to a song that you really like and you're like, that's my tune.
That's my tune.
Hey, this is Jojo B and this is episode 16 of That's My Tune, the podcast providing song reviews and interviews. So on Tuesday, I had the pleasure of interviewing Leanne Louise and Miss Pink with their song On Your Mind. Massive dance banger that I had to jump on. Well, in this bonus episode, I decided to go a different route. You know me, I like to explore different genres. We're going to go more down the jazz route this time round. But it's a nice mid-tempo bop, you see what I'm saying? I'm not going to talk too much about it. I want you to relax, chill out to this. And I'll be back to review this song and tell you why I like it and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tom Misch, South of the River. Enjoy. And that's Tom Misch's South of the River. I told you he's a bop, innit? Yeah, so that was released in 2017. And it's funny how I discovered this song. It was at a former workplace, somewhere I used to work. And the way the speakers are set up is like right high up in the ceiling. So depending on how noisy it is in the building, is like you can sometimes hear songs or you don't. But on this particular occasions, because for some reason, I'll catch little bits here and there and it will catch my attention. I don't really pay attention. And then eventually I'll be like, wait, this song, it sounds like something that I should be exploring and researching. But before I delve more into that, is it just me or in some workplaces where music is being played, like you don't like the songs for the most part? That's my experience. I mean, why is it soundtracks for work are so dry? Like, do you know what I mean? It's funny because there's some songs that I loved, like the very few. There's some songs that I just tolerated, like just about like, okay, I'm at work, this song will get me through. And there's some songs that I downright hated. But there's some songs that you initially don't like, but you grow to like, and this is one of them. And thankfully, where the stereo was, like you could see the name of the artist and the song. So there was one time where I went to where it's located. And what I used to do, if there's a song that I like, I'll write it like on a piece of paper or sometimes my hand if there's no piece of paper available. So I just grabbed a pen and wrote down the name of the song and the artist. I was like, yep, gonna explore this more. So I can't remember if I went on YouTube or whatever, but I remember when I did listen to it, I was like, yes, I like this song. This is a bop. This is a vibe. And before I continue more about this song, my worst experience when it comes to workplace soundtracks, right, is Christmas time. That is the worst, because when you're in a workplace, in a work environment where music is played, the Christmas compilations are the worst. Why? Because usually Christmas collections, there are not a lot of songs. So you're hearing the same songs over and over and over and over and over again, more than your usual soundtracks throughout the year. And then the worst thing is when you hear the covers of those same songs. So you can hear the same song 2 or 3 or 4 times because there's the original plus the covers, which most of the time do not even sound good. And the classic example would be Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. I have a love-hate relationship with that song, with the original, but more so with the covers, because I'm just there like, but you can't even sing the song, you're struggling, bruv. But Mariah Carey is not struggling because she is making that money. Now imagine the original alone. As the years have gone by since she dropped in the early 90s, as the years has gone by, the popularity, like, you know it's Christmas when you hear that song. Simple as that. Like, she makes so much money from the original alone. Now imagine the covers as well, because she wrote the song, yeah? Imagine the money. And then there's also the adverts, the sync money. Mariah Carey, she could literally, I'm sure she could literally retire right now and not worry about money off that one song. She's eating off that one song. Like Mariah Carey, hats off to you, innit? But we're not here to talk about Mariah Carey. Maybe another time. But back to Tom Misch. So discovered the song at work and I'm like, yeah. So I've been a fan of this song for a while, and every so often I'll play it, and I thought, you know what, I need to review this song with you guys and introduce you to it if you haven't heard it already. So as we always do a breakdown. I'm always good at that kind of stuff, you get me. So let's begin. So yeah, like I said, South of the River was released in 2017 and it's just a nice feel-good track. Like, no matter how you feeling, it's a nice mid-tempo joint that, you know, can just lift your spirits. And it's funny, before recording this, I went on YouTube to look at the visual And I love it. It's nice and simple, just like the track, which I'll discuss in further detail in a moment. The visuals dope. I mean, what Tom Misch had people do is submit videos of them singing along to the song, dancing along to the song, playing air instruments along to the song, or in some cases playing actual instruments to the song. And then what they did is that they edited it and put this collection of videos together to make it one long visual for the song. And it really worked. And I guess it's from across London or possibly across the world. Like you see various people just singing and dancing along, and it's so nice. And seeing as it dropped in the summer of that year, it's sunny, right? Because it's summertime. So just seeing that. So right now we're in winter, okay? And so watching that, I'm just like, I long for summer right now. But I love how simple the visual is, and it fits with the song, which I'm now going to talk about at this moment in time. So let's look at the instruments first. So you got violins, because they're like 3 or 4 violins that play throughout the track, which I'll discuss more in a moment. You have your synth pad that plays the chords. You have the hand claps. You have the bass guitar. You have your drum kit, your hi-hat, snare, bass drum, or kick drum, whichever one you like to call it. You have the electric guitar that's playing the chords. Ding, 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 ding. And then I think there's at one point there's a ukulele. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but we'll get to that in a moment. Then you have your synth lead that plays the solo towards the end of the song. You have the tambourine, and you have somebody whistling. And then vocals are very simple, but I'll touch on the vocals in a moment. So the violin, tiny bit of reverb where they play the melody. Synth pad is dry. Hand claps is a tiny bit of reverb. Bass guitar, there's dry. Hi-hat, snare, kick drum, all dry. Electric guitar, I believe that's also dry as well, but it is panned. Then you have the ukulele, which is in the second verse. That's panned to the left. And then you have the synth lead, which has a bit of reverb and I believe a bit of delay once more towards the end. You have tambourine, which is dry, and the whistle, which has a bit of reverb. So that's your instruments and your production value in that section done. Right. So the vocals are very, very, very simple. It's just a male vocal throughout. He sings the 2 verses, and there's a female vocal in the second chorus where she's basically singing the melody of the violin, but it's very subtle in the mix. And that's it. There's no BVs, there's nothing like that. So it's very, very, very simple setup. And even in terms of the song itself, again, it's very simple. It's the same chord progression. It's just a matter of instruments coming in and out at different points in time, which I love. I love it. So, let's go to the structure of the song. That's the word I was looking for, structure. You have the intro, which is 8 bars. You have the synth chords, you have the violins, and you have the clap, right? And then when you go to the verse, you have the vocal, the male you have Tom singing the verse, which is very, very simple melody. No BVs, nothing. You have the synth chords, the hi-hat, the claps, the bass line. And you know that when it goes cha-cha, like I say cha-cha, it doesn't say cha-cha, but I call it cha-cha. But I'm trying to work out what that instrument is, but I can't work out what that instrument is, so I just call it cha-cha, right? And then when you get to the 9th bar of the first verse, the kick drum, you have the kick drum and the snare that comes in. Then you have like a little melody, little riff that connects the verse to the chorus. This happens both with the first and second verse. So that's the bass and the guitar, the electric guitar that plays that melody. Is it just me, or does it sound similar or pretty much the same as the melody in D'Angelo's Lady? I mean, obviously it's a different key signature, but is it just me? Am I crazy? Because they sound very much the same, but hey. Moving on. And then when you get to the chorus, you have the electric guitar that comes in, which again is panned. You have the violin, which is playing the main melody. Yeah, you get the point. You have the synth pads that's playing the chords. You have the clap. You know, they're just clapping throughout. And then you have the bass line and the the whole drum kit, the hi-hat, the snare, the kick drum. Then in the second verse, you have the ukulele. So you know that melody that's going dun, 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 something like that. That's panned to the left, and it's very low in the mix, but it's there, so it adds variety. So you have that, you have the claps again, you have the synth chords, and you have the violins that are playing along with the synth pad, the chords. So you have like 3 violins playing along with that, and you have the hi-hat, and again you have Tom Misch singing. Then when you get to the 9th bar of the second verse, then you have the bass line, the kick drum, and the snare that comes through, right? Then in the second chorus, it's the same as the first chorus, but this time round, like I mentioned earlier, I have the female who's singing along with the main violin melody, and then you have a counter melody with another violin. They're playing so yeah, I'm not singing properly, but you get the point. And then you have my favorite part after the second chorus. You have the synth lead that's doing the solo. So basically this is where it's just music, apart from where Tom Misch is singing. So he's singing a mix of River and Your Love. So river, 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 your love, your love, your love, your love. And it's panned throughout, and it's filtered and mixed very low. It's very low in the mix as well. So apart from that, it's just the instruments just doing their thing, which I love. First 8 bars of the solo, you have the electric guitar playing the chords, you have the claps, you have the solo synth, you have the second violin melody, you have that cha-cha, and you also have an egg shaker. At first I thought it was a capacitor, so you know the bit that's going so that's an egg shaker, because that sound is very subtle, and I used to have one as well. So you have that, and then once the 9th bar kicks in, the bass line comes through, and then from the 17th bar of the solo, you have the drum kit and the tambourine, and they all come together. So this whole solo bit goes on for like 32 bars, and then from the 33rd bar, if you like, or if you're being really technical, the actual ending or the outro of the song, which would be the first bar, you have the chords, you have the synth chords, you have the lead synth still doing its thing, you have the violins, and then you have who I believe is Tom Misch, who's whistling, and it has a bit of reverb, and then you have the bass line, right? So that's basically the breakdown structure of the song. And I think for me, no, it's not I think, what I love about this song, the unique selling point for me where this song is concerned, is the music is the focal point, not the vocals. Yeah. So like I said earlier, the vocals are very simple. There's a tiny bit of reverb on Tom's vocal, and I believe the female who's singing the melody on top in the second chorus. But yeah, it's a very, very simple song vocally. You have Tom Misch who sings the 2 verses. He doesn't try to do anything fancy. He's just like, once you come south of the river. He's just simply singing the song. There's no BVs, there's no crazy ad-libs. And you know me, I love a good vocal arrangement. But this one is just very simple. And then that's it. After those 2 verses, then it's literally just the music from beginning to end. For me, being a musician, I like songs where sometimes the music takes precedence and not the vocal. It's different, and especially for a mainstream song as well. I think it's nice to have that balance, that difference. You see what I'm saying? That those songs can be successful too. So yeah, I love that element, and I'd say that my favorite elements of the song, I love the basses. Whoever's playing the bass, and I should have done my research to find out who's playing it, but I have a feeling it could have been Tom Misch himself. But whoever's playing the bass, I love it. Like throughout the song, they don't stick to the same formula. They do different things throughout, especially the end where once the solo is done, like the broken chords is just, and that outro at the end where it's just the bass, the synth chord, the chords, the violins. It's just calm. It's just serene. I feel like I'm floating. You see what I'm saying? I could literally just take that section and just loop it over and over and over again. I literally could do that if I could. It's just a nice song. Again, it's winter out here. I mean, the sun is out today, so I'm recording this, but it's winter. But even though that song dropped in the summer, like you feel the summer vibes, even though it's cold right now. Do you see what I'm saying? And I love songs that evoke, even if you're not in that same situation as when it was recorded, it evokes that same emotion as if you were there or in that present time, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. But I don't really have much else to say, because This song is so simple yet effective. I really appreciate Tom Misch for the way he structured this song, kept it simple, kept it sweet. And even though, again, its focus was on music, it's not too complex for those who are not musicians like myself. It's still palatable for someone who doesn't understand the inner workings of music, if that makes sense. So all round, I think it's just a great song. And that's it. So Tom Misch, if you ever hear this podcast, please understand you have somebody who loves this song. Like, honestly, it's such a dope track. And that's the song review done. So Tom Misch, South of the River. Hope after this you play it and show Tom Misch some love. See what I'm saying? I hope I said his name correctly. Yeah. So as usual, if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can, Ms. Jojob, MZJOJOB. And if you'd like to follow That's My Tune, you can in the following ways. That's My Tune Pod on Twitter. That's My Tune Podcast on Instagram. And if you'd like to email, that's my tune podcast @gmail.com. And I'd like to say a shout out to everybody who listens to this podcast, whether you're new to this or you've been listening from the first episode right through. I appreciate you all. I appreciate the love. Keep following, keep subscribing, keep listening. And I'll be back on Tuesday with another episode. Until then, I'm out. Goodbye. Enjoy. Ciao.